Hi, my name is Steve and I want to thank you for taking time to watch my video. This video is actually part 3 in a series looking at how to make a kitless pen, and in this case I was using Casein. The first video we made the section, the second video we made the body of the pen. The third section or the third part of this video we're going to make the cap. And the only clip that I have is a clip from a cigar pen, and it's black titanium. Not sure how good this is actually going to look on the pen, but I'm going to use it, and I can always swap it out for another clip at a later time. So, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the tools that we're going to be using to create this cap. First of all, I used 12mm triple start threads on the body of the pen. So I'm going to need to use my 12mm triple start tap. That requires a 7/16 inch drill bit. If we measure the diameter of the end of our section, we get about 385 thousandths or something like that. So we're going to use a 25/64 drill bit, and the finial is going to use a 7mm die to thread it. Therefore I'll use a 7mm tap in the end of the cap. And if we take our 7mm and subtract it's a 7x1, subtract the 1 from it, that tells us we need a 6mm hole, and the A bit is just under 6mm. So I think that's going to work just fine for drilling the hole in the end of the cap. And I think that's about it for the tools. Let's go ahead and get started drilling some holes and doing a little threading. I've got my part in the chuck already, and I center drilled it. I've got my 7/16 inch bit in there, and I'm going to go ahead and drill about 3/4 of an inch deep. I've got the 25/64 bit in there now, and I am going to go about 1.9 inches on that. I've completed drilling the holes now, or the hole at the 2 different diameters. I also pushed the piece back into the chuck a little bit further to offer plenty of support while I'm turning this. With the ebonite I didn't have any trouble, but this Casein is quite brittle, and so I want to have as much support on that as I possibly can. I had to run upstairs and get some of this cooking spray. I've been using this Crisco. I think some of the other guys use Pam or something. And we just want to keep the pieces well lubricated while we're turning. Giving us room to get it all over everything. That's a good idea. Guess that won't hurt nothing. I'm going to put a slight amount of pressure on my tailstock as I start turning these threads. Doesn't sound good, does it? It may have been a good idea to go ahead and turn, yeah, probably would have been a good idea to thread this before I cut it down to such a thin diameter. The reason I cut it down to, oh shit, that wasn't a good idea at all. So much for this video. It probably would have been a good idea to go ahead, well, this was, I don't know what it had started out with, like 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch in diameter. Probably would have been a good idea to just straighten up the the outside just to make sure it was nice and cylindrical. Drilled my holes and tapped it at that time. So anyway, this cap is shot. I don't have enough casein left to complete this, but let's go ahead and drill the top of it for our cap, and we'll go from there. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck with that. I've turned the piece down here to the diameter of my cap, and right now I'm starting to turn the tenon on there where we're going to put our threads. I'm measuring I'm measuring the inside diameter of the clip, and I've got about 311 thousandths. So we're going to turn this down to 311 thousandths first, so that we have something for the clip to fit on. We'll go about 12. Can always take a little bit more. So we're about 7 thousandths over. I'm going to go just a little bit thinner than that because we're 7 will be another 3.5 thousandths. And I think we'll just go a little bit under what we want to be. Okay, about 6.87 millimeters, and I think that'll probably work good. Also forgot to mention the die holder. I'm going to go ahead and put our die into the holder. We'll put the die into the chuck, or the die holder into the chuck. Lubricant in there. And hopefully I left that tenon long enough. Again, I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the tailstock as I start to cut these threads. See how that works. this on. Might be pretty good, but what I'm going to do is clean up these threads just ever so slightly. You know, just a little bit deeper here so that the finial will go on tight to the Now that we've finished our finial, what we need to do is to hollow out a little bit of the inside of our cap so that the clip will fit in there. Now this finial, or this clip, is about 33 thousandths, 35 thousandths. So what we're going to do is come in here and remove 35 thousandths or so up to a diameter, the outer diameter of the clip, of about 475 thousandths. Not going to leave us a lot of material to work with here. I'm not sure this is even going to work over here. I've got, on the edge of there, I've got some chipped out, so that's where we'll, if we need to, that's where we'll make our we need to remove some of the material here, make a little slot so that the clip will fit through there. Normally we'd mount the cap on our mandrel. Unfortunately, since I damaged the end of it there by threading it, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chuck here just so that we can shape the end of the cap here a little bit, and then we're just going to call it good since we really can't complete it. We've gone through all the steps that we need to do other than the shaping and polishing, which is again back to basics. So we'll see what happens here. Now I've completed the shaping, and now I'm going to go ahead and use a file to remove a little bit of the material here, and so that the edge of our clip will fit through it. Got this pretty giant file, but maybe if you're doing this you might want to have something a little bit finer to do it with. So my fingers are all dirty, and of course this stuff, that's from the chuck, but did get that little groove in there. And so let's see how this all fits together. Yeah, get down there. And there's the, well, somewhat completed cap.